And we are live. Let me just check to see if the sound is right. And anyone in the audience, just give me some feedback in the text chat, whether you can hear me or not. Let's just see what's going on. Sound seems to be okay for me. And the computer, I have a laptop open here where I'm just checking to see if it is sending a signal out or not. And it says it is, so that's good. So welcome to our monthly coach hangout. It's great to have you here. I'm extremely excited today because this is a super topic for me. It's something that is what we've got here. Oh, perfect. This is great. I'm getting feedback already as people are coming in. So this is terrific. As I was saying, I'm Dave Williams, your friendly cancer survivor who every month tries to bring some interesting topics into the cancer care community. As you know, we live broadcast every week to patients and survivors. We've got a weekly show at findyournewnormal.com at Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, where we talk about a number of different topics of interest to cancer patients, survivors, and caregivers. But here, once a month, I try to focus the information on information of value to those of us that are trying to assist cancer patients and survivors. There are many types of coaches out there. There are patient navigators out there. There are life coaches, wellness coaches, holistic coaches, nutritionists. It's just amazing the number of people that are involved in working outside of the medical area of the oncology support for cancer survivors. And so there are lots of other pieces of information to share, and this is the way I try to do it every week. So this is an interactive session. Hopefully we'll get some questions going. There's always a replay. So those of you that have to leave early, just come back in. As long as you're registered, you'll get notification of where the replay is, but you'll find it on the cancercoachnetwork.com site. We have a past broadcast area there as well. But anyways, the topic today is, what is this thing called live streaming? And sure, what I'm doing right now is called live streaming, but there's now other aspects of being live on camera, talking to an audience that many people are finding confusing but interesting, and trying to understand what the heck is going on. As I said at the beginning, it's something of personal interest to me because I've been involved in live broadcasting since 2002. So, you know, well over a decade, 12, 13 years, maybe even close to 14 years now of helping people understand where does a webcam fit in getting you live and direct to the audience that you want to reach. I've been fascinated with all the technological changes. Some of them were very difficult, very complicated, really needing to be a geek in order to try and put it all together, or being very expensive, or very intimidating and very complicated. The nice thing that I've discovered, particularly in the past year, is we're getting new technologies that are extremely easy to use, and one doesn't have to be fearful about them at all. And yet they can offer a different kind of interaction with the audience that you're trying to reach. Let me take a step back and say that often the coach community, the cancer care community, has a message. They want to get it out to the patient, the survivor, the caregiver. And so they try to be creative at bringing people together in face-to-face sessions at their clinic or their office, or visiting in home care communities. And some like to do distance education or training. And now with survivor clinics becoming very vogue throughout North America, there's a real outreach program as the survivor group, the audience increases. So I'm finding many coaches getting involved with taking their message now and looking at how do I reach all kinds of people that I could have an impact on. They don't necessarily have to be within driving distance of me. And I think the focus has been the last couple of years to use social media to reach out to people and let them know that you exist, that your service exists, that your coaching practice exists, that your hospital, clinic, wellness program exists. And so many people are have their blog on their website. Some are, posting on Facebook all the time. Some are doing it on Google+. Tweeting is a big place that you find information, but that's just one dimension, isn't it? It's just the written word. And some of us like to read, but some of us like to listen. And that's why you're also seeing now in the healthcare community, particularly oncology nurses, nurse practitioners, and so forth, the physical, medical healthcare professionals are setting up podcasts so that people with their busy schedules can just listen to information. And some of the coaches and practitioners that I've met are saying, well, there are patients and survivors and caregivers that also would like to have audio and would like to listen to that. And so some of the people that I've been talking to over the last couple of years are taking what they do in print and extending it into the audio world through podcasts. However, now people are doing things more live and direct on webcam. In fact, it really caught my attention this Christmas because a year ago at Christmas holiday period, I was sitting in the coffee shop and there were people around me. And I thought it was strange that they were not looking at each other. They were on their smartphones and they were just texting information off to people. And I thought that was very odd that people would be in a coffee shop where you normally get together to talk, and yet they weren't talking. They were actually just texting to people. However, this Christmas, it was very different. Instead of those same kinds of people sitting there talking or texting, they were now streaming. They were taking their smartphone, turning on the camera, and literally recording what was happening around them and sharing it with their friends and family and groups that they thought would be interested in seeing what they're doing. And that really struck me as interesting that we're now getting people very comfortable with using their smartphones as a way of getting information and sharing information. And so about 8 months ago, when Meerkat came out in March and Periscope came out a month later in April, I started paying attention to what is this smartphone and how is that a broadcast tool to take a message to an audience. I didn't quite understand it, frankly, because my background had been, webcasting, being live as we're doing now, using the tools that webinar professionals would do to do presentations. And most of the technology people would use to bring up their PowerPoint slides and run through the different kinds of information that was important to them. However, suddenly in the spring of last year, if this is a replay, I should be particular, 2015, I started to sense that there were conversations that were happening that were engaging and interactive. And I said, isn't that interesting? Because I'm trying as a cancer survivor to talk to other cancer survivors and talk about non-medical related coping issues of what the journey with cancer is all about. And I started to think, why couldn't I, instead of doing a live broadcast through a Google Hangout or a webinar jam or any of the other tools that were very formalized, why couldn't it be more casual? Why couldn't it be more interactive? And I started to experiment with the technology that's out there. And I think the reason that I found what is now called social streaming as opposed to live broadcasting or live streaming, I find social streaming to be an extension of what cancer care professionals are trying to do with their Facebook channel, their YouTube channel, their Google channel, their blog, where they're getting their information down on paper and hoping the audience will find them and then follow them and hopefully engage with them, because it's about, hey, I've got a message. I think it's of value to you as a patient, a survivor, caregiver. You need to get to learn about me, feel comfortable about me, and hopefully my written word will engage. Well, I've discovered that some people are really great at using words, but the actual emotional connection that I make with the writer is on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe a 3 or a 4. When I listen to them on their podcast, their audio files, or watch what they've recorded and put onto YouTube, well, now I get to know a little bit more of the author and what their message, because I can see them. I can, as you can see here, I'm very animated. I use my voice in a creative way. My hands perhaps way too much, but you get a sense of who I am and what I'm saying, much like you would if we were face-to-face working with each other. And so what people were experimenting with recorded video was now being experimented with as an extension to the written word or their podcast with smartphones, and being able to simply have an idea, turn on the camera, and start to broadcast. Tried to use one of those smartphone applications I mentioned earlier, Meerkat or Periscope. And now, you know, eight months later, there's over 10 million people. I couldn't believe it. I looked at the stats last weekend. 10 million people on Periscope right now, meaning, you know, as their slogan says, looking at the world through someone else's eyes. There are people who are just there with a moment and taking their smart cam and broadcasting it out to people, who can then listen to them, watch them on their smartphone, or in some cases on their laptop. Then in the late summer, out came a new tool called Blab, which was the same concept of social streaming, but more conversational format, where Meerkat and Periscope were broadcasting just a single me to a large audience. Now with Blab, you could have 4 video windows and have multiple people talking and sharing, and in fact, having a talk show. And so I started to experiment that with a co-host, Gina Costa Goldfarb, where we decided, let's use this communication tool and see if we could grab a patient, a caregiver audience and talk about issues that would help them cope with cancer. And we were just surprised. I mean, it was unbelievably easy to do and unbelievably easy at generating an audience. Blab was a simple tool, a 3-step approach, literally. You put in a title, you put in a topic heading, category, and date to broadcast, and you hit save, and it's there. And then when you want to go live, you just hit the live button, and you're live. And then people can, much like you are today watching me, except I would be able to bring guests in from the text chat area onto camera, and they could interact as you would in a network community, in your home, in your clinic, where you would have a group of people interacting. It's a social conversation. And there was a way of learning how to do it, but it blew me away of how easy it was to find people who wanted to interact on the topic of cancer. We've now had, on some of the weekly broadcasts, 300 people who showed up, you know, doing a live broadcast on Google or a webinar, a sort of environment. You might get a dozen people to come in. But we were getting hundreds of people to show up, and 50 or 60 is a pretty average show up to one of our every week broadcasts, where people engage and interact. And I think that's the hook that I want you to go away with today, is that engagement is very, very important, because it's one thing to simply share information. It's another thing to get people to respond to the information you're sharing and then personalize the information to their needs right there on the spot, just like you would do in a face-to-face coaching session, hand-holding session, training session, where the live interaction occurs, engagement occurs. Because certainly in the cancer care area, there's, like in other areas, there's a need to build trust. The audience needs to know who you are, not just like you, but they need to know who you are and build a relationship with you. And that's very difficult to do just with posting on Facebook or Google or your blog. It takes multiple posts before people start to get a sense of who you are and what you're talking about. And it's rare. I mean, I follow a lot of people in this arena who have great knowledge, but if you look at the comment areas in their written word, there's only a dozen comments. And then they make the comment and it takes a while for other people to interact. So the relationship building and the engagement takes a great deal of time and really often plateaus. Here on live broadcasting, you can interact freely and openly. Today, we have a text chat area and people can ask questions and I can respond. But when I'm on a platform like Blab, it's very social conversation. It's just like being at a cocktail party where you move around from group to group and find out who you're talking to, what are they interested in, and what do you want to talk about. So in cancer care, there are so many different areas that survivors are dealing with, and there's 17.5 million of us out there. I mean, that number just keeps growing and going, which is a good thing. 5 years ago, we had a mortality rate of 48%. Now it's a 68% survival rate. So we're, you've got, another 3 million people a year coming into the system with a cancer diagnosis, and 17.5 and going to be shortly 18 million people looking for, how do I find my new normal? How do I start a new beginning? And I have issues that I need to have someone help me through, whether the nutrition issues, whether they're mobility issues, career issues, relationship issues, career issues, or medical issues. I mean, there's just this wide range of things that go on and on and on. And I'm finding that this medium of technology, live technology, allows you to interact immediately with your audience. They can ask their question, you can respond, and that spurs more conversation in the group. And when you get strangers on camera from all around the world, I mean, it's an international community. So, I mean, on our weekly shows, we'll have someone from Australia or someone from the UK or someone from Georgia. And yeah, we certainly make it social. I mean, we talk about the weather, we talk about how's life, but then we get into a cancer-related question and can respond directly to what is it that group of people are looking for answers. And then you rotate through your audience in the text chat area, bring them on camera, and the conversations carries on. The closest, probably analogy to this social streaming, as they're calling it, is a radio call-in show where you have a moderator with a theme, open the call lines, folks from all around the world come in with their questions, and the moderator tries to control the flow and make sure you don't get off topic. And I'm finding once you learn that technique, and it is a learned technique, it's not like what I'm doing here. I'm just looking at the web camera and talking to you, and if I needed to, I could bring up PowerPoint slides and so forth, but the interactivity is not the same if I've got 100 people in the audience all firing questions and often chatting to one another in the text chat area. Very interactive interactive channel. So it's a big surprise for me on a number of fronts. And first off, it's easy to do, and it's not technically difficult. Here, when you come into Hangouts and recorded videos, we talk about lighting and microphones. And, I had a camera crew in here a few months ago. where we were doing a PSA for home care, and they brought in a 9-man film crew and makeup artists. I had to change my wardrobe. It was so complicated to get the 2-minute video produced. In the social streaming, no one cares about what you look like. I've had people in their hospital bed. I've had people, because of the time zone, at 3 o'clock in the morning in their home. Lighting isn't the greatest. What they look like isn't what it's about. It's a need to reach out, connect, and share that you can do as the host, and the guests that come in can do it without any fear of the technological barriers that have been there. And I think as we get used to this 2016 year is going to be the year of social streaming. And I differentiate it from live streaming, which is more technically robust, much like I'm doing here, where I am concerned with the microphone I'm using, so I want my sound quality. I'm trying to create a replay of a quality that I can edit and use in other purposes. I'm concerned with my lighting, that live, but it's a live stream, as opposed to live broadcasting, which doesn't necessarily have such a fluid platform, but is, again, more of the webinar format where you come on camera and do a presentation. So I'm sensing that when it comes to broadcasting, you get a choice of, do I want to do a presentation with slides and maybe a panelist and use a webinar platform tool? Do I want to do more of a live broadcast and share a comment or a thought like I'm doing today on a Google Hangout or any of the other tools that are available out there? Or now I've got the option of, do I want a live social interaction with the audience in which I can then, after that relationship is built, bring them to more formalized presentation of information in more of a private and controlled environment? I've sort of got now 3 options once I feel comfortable with being on camera. And I think that's the second thing that most people provide to me when they say, I don't want to get involved with live broadcasting. The first one was the difficulty. I don't want to be a geek. I don't want to know the technology. I don't want to do the lighting and microphones and video editing and so forth. But the other one is, I just have a voice for radio. I don't want to be seen on camera. And that comfort zone that you can get through is easier on social streaming, because there everybody doesn't care about what everyone looks like. What they care about is what everyone is talking about. What is the message? They really want to engage with what it is that you're speaking about. And so it's easier if you have a fear of being on camera to begin now with something so easy. Get your smartphone out, hit download the app on it, hit the start button, and now you're streaming. I tried that the other day on Periscope, and that's it. No audience, no anything. I put a title on cancer care and hit the start button, and within 5 minutes, I had 10 people I was talking to, and within 20 minutes, there were 30 people that I was talking to. It just blows me away that there are people out there. So in a practical sense, I think of my own cancer treatment program, and some of you who know my background know it was an arduous journey. I was 15 months in hospital, and I would have loved to have had more video content streamed to me in my hospital room. And certainly when I came home for home care, same thing. Going through chemo, going through radiation, going through infusions and so forth, I was lethargic, I was fatigued, I was stressed, I was worried, I was anxious. And having a social interaction tool that now exists like a Blab platform would have been so wonderful for me. And whereas I say, just experimenting that, and I've been talking to a couple of hospitals and clinics about how do we reach out to patients in treatment where we can interact with them and give them that hope and inspiration and guidance to get them through this journey with cancer. And I know somebody say, well, it's a fight with cancer. In fact, one of the topics we had a few months ago was, is cancer a fight or is it a journey? I tend to describe it as a journey along with cancer. And there are so many things because the journey doesn't end. It's a never-ending story. Here I am, 3 years as a survivor, and I'm still having complications to deal with and will have for the rest of my life. It's just part of my new normal. It's part of setting up a new way of living. And I want to reach out and connect with people. So of all the verticals that are experimenting with live streaming, or as I'm labeling it, social streaming, I'm finding that we've got a great opportunity to take a look at some of these platforms and discover that they're easy to use. They're not technologically limited. They're free, so there's no cost. The cost is your investment of time. You do have to promote. I mean, you do have to market. You have to, use your Facebook engines and your Google engines and your blog and your direct normal marketing approach to bring an audience in so they know that you have an event that's worth watching to. And then once you have the event, they are recorded if you choose the right technology. It's easy to simply hit the record button as I did here today. And now I have a video that sits on my YouTube channel. I can edit it. I can break it into sound bites. I can put it on my blog. I can mail it out to people. I can embed it in a training program. I can repurpose it, in other words, in a lot of different ways. So once I have my message and I feel comfortable in talking about something that I believe is important, and you get interaction with your audience, now you've got an asset. You have an archive of information that's evergreen, that you can use in many different ways. So I really sense that what we have here is a breakthrough. Much like a few years ago, people said, why in the world do I need a domain name? What the heck is a website all about? And we all said, I don't really care. And then everyone said, oh, what's this thing called a blog? And it's just more technology. I don't want to go there. And now look, everyone can't live without a domain name, a website, a blog. And then, a couple of years ago, smartphones came out and texting was there and social media took off and people said, I don't know what it is, but it's it became part of the mass media. Well, I'm saying today, predicting at the beginning here of 2016, this is going to be the year you're going to see social streaming really take off. If you can have 10 million people, I mean, it's just incredible, in 8 months, who will go ahead and start streaming and build their audience on messages that they have importance. And you can take Blab. If you go over to blab.im and look at all the presenters that are there, there are hundreds of people who have essentially their web TV show. And it's addictive. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I don't know about you, but watching television at times, there's nothing on. I just open up my laptop, go to a Blab channel on almost any topic, whether it's cooking. I mean, at Christmas, it was great. I was getting lots of information about my holiday dinners and preparing them and desserts and so on. Gardening shows are out there, home mechanic shows, business shows. I mean, everyone who's got a message are now putting themselves together with a web TV show. Well, I'm saying that we're going to see the same thing happen in the cancer care community. As you out there learn about these tools and see how easy they are to use without the barriers of technology, you're going to want to try and experiment with it, just like you did when you first heard about Facebook and decided to go. I mean, just think, 3 months ago, Facebook announced Facebook Live, and they're rolling it out slowly in the States that you're going to be able to stream live your webcam and your smartphone direct to your Facebook page. So, there you've got 1 billion active users who you're going to be able to reach out. And those of you that have cancer care community pages and cancer care business and service pages on Facebook, are going to want to do more than recorded video. And, I asked everyone, well, why don't you just start with recorded video? And those was where the barriers came up. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to learn how to do it. I can't afford to have other people do it for me. It's too costly. It's too complicated. So you don't see a big use in cancer care with recorded video, although that's now changing. I'm seeing some cancer TV shows coming up, not live, but recorded. Certainly on the medical side, the oncology side, there's lots of information channels professionally produced. But on the coping and moving on with your life, where the coaches, patient navigators, holistic practitioners and so forth are, that we haven't moved into a lot of video recorded information. And certainly we're at the very early area of what to do with social streaming. But that's what I wanted to share in the first 30 minutes. And my goodness, I'm right on time. That's amazing. I just had my blab, as I'm getting used to calling it, where I can talk about the importance of live video, the different formats that are there. And certainly as a way of helping you, if any of you have any questions on what this is all about, send me an email at dave@findyournewnormal.com. As I said, I've been doing it for 12, 14 years, so a lot of experience. And I've been practiced now on the social streaming. And if you want to see what it's like, just go over to our channel at blab.im /cancercoachnet. And you'll see the listing of all of our past shows, and you can see how the weekly shows have an audience and what we talk about and how easy it is. And if you don't want to be taught on how to do it, I'll be your show producer. I really think this is an incredibly important area. And if you don't want to do it, you still have barriers to do it, I'll do it for you. I'll be your producer, and you can just show up and get your message out the way you feel comfortable with doing. And I'll worry about all the technical and marketing and promotion side of things. So I'll provide either an education training service for you or a show production service for you. But great platforms to choose from. No costs involved currently. Easy to use, no technical difficulty. You'll be back to the standard business question is, where's my audience and what do I talk about? Same as you do now, as there's my Facebook page, what am I going to post today? And if I don't post every day, I don't have an audience. If I post only once a month, no one follows me. The standard business questions of how do I get my message out to people? So let me stop there in terms of the formal information, and I'll record that. And then I can answer any questions that you might have as a separate part of today's event. Any of you in the audience who have questions, just fire them at me and I'll respond. And I have learned that it's not interactive as it is in Blab. When I talk in Blab, it's real-time text chatting. You get the chat and you get the interaction. On tools like the one we're using today, there's a good 20 or 30-second delay between my comment of please type something and you actually hearing it, responding to it, and me being able to respond to your question. So that should have given you a couple of minutes to write any questions that you might have had. Yeah, here's a question that I'm just reading about the marketing side. One of the issues is not just what do you do with educating people, providing information like we do on our weekly broadcast, but can I find new business? Can I find new clients? One of the big issues that I face all the time when I work with cancer coaches is how do I get able to sell my service? How do I find new clients to work with? And yes, you can do that. You can generate revenue. You'll find that people, once they've engaged with you and build a relationship with you, you can introduce your service and you can have a call to action that takes them right back to your web page. Because again, these video streams can be embedded right on your own web page. So your branding, your identity, your logo is front and center, and then you can have a call to action that says, here's my particular product or service that you might be interested in. And because you collect email addresses, you can build an email marketing program around it. And once people get on your mailing list, you can make them aware of your services and what it is that you're interested in them to know about. Oh my goodness, look at that. We've already got Kathy saying she's downloaded the app. I assume the app she's talking about is Periscope, and she's going to try it out. And oh, by all means, and let me know for sure. I mean, that's very exciting that you also are sensing the opportunity and want to give it a try. So let me know just how is that going to work. Send me a note to dave@findyournewnormal.com and let me know. And also send me an email so I know when you're streaming so that I can get on. Yeah. Blab. Oh, even easier. Blab. Oh, man, that's terrific. If we can get, I'd like to build a network of cancer care blabs because right now we're the only ones, Gina and I are the only ones who are talking about the cancer area. So it would be great to have different expertise coming in and sharing their knowledge on a regular basis. I would give that word of advice that if you're going to use Blab, think of it like a television show where your audience needs to find you at a regular time that they don't forget. And that's why we say 3 o'clock Eastern every Wednesday, we're online. We tried doing it, you know, different days and a couple of times a month. And, you know, you could get a small audience, but you didn't get a following. So it's just like your favorite television show. You need to have a set day and time that people can mark down on their calendars and that you can announce every week. And what do you say? Oh, 5:30 today, you're going to try it out. This is great. I survived cancer. Now what? Oh, that's terrific. Well, I'll find you on Blab. And I hope everyone else in the audience finds the topic and then follows you. Because that's the nice thing on Blab is when you're there, there's a little button say follow. And when you click on that, then people can get an email notification if they've set that up in their options, their settings, that people will then send you notification. And it's attached to Twitter, so it's your Twitterverse that you're reaching out to. I really personally didn't make much use of Twitter. I didn't understand it. I was posting information and trying to get a following, but not very good at it. So I spent time on Google and on Facebook. But with Blab, it's all directly attached to Twitter. It's not owned by Twitter. Periscope is owned by Twitter. So when you use Periscope, you're periscoping to Twitter followers. With Blab, all the Twitterverse find you immediately. And those that are not, do not have a Twitter account can still watch you on your webpage or wherever you've embedded it. But to interact, they have to have a Twitter account. And as you know, all you do is have a handle. Take 10 seconds to put it in, a name or a handle and a password, and you've got a Twitter account so you can interact. So it's, you get, and that's why when I broadcast the show, it immediately goes out to everyone that's following me. So they get an announcement, Dave just went on the air, and then suddenly within a few minutes, people start to come in. And then during the show, you hit the tell little bird icon or the post on Facebook icon, and the show, as it's broadcast, gets updated out to your Facebook followers and your Twitter followers. And then everyone who comes in the channel also hit those little icons and send it out to the people that are following them. So just like the old commercial, you know, 2 + 2, hit 2, hits 4, is 8. Suddenly you've got everybody telling everyone that's following them, here's a show I'm watching, maybe you're interested in it as well. And you can quickly build a following if you're doing the same thing every week at the same time. Or twice a month. I have some people that I follow, they only do a show twice a month, and that's just fine. But I'm finding I'd love to do one every day, and that's why I like the idea of having a cancer care network. Of, you know, Monday is nutrition, and Tuesday is mobility, and Wednesday is career, and Thursday is spirituality, and, you know, on and on and on, that you have different themes so that patients and survivors with different issues have different topics that they get into. with Gene and I only broadcasting once a week, we only have one topic. And, you know, and that's, by the way, hard to contain. At the beginning, we were going on for 2 hours. Can you believe that? Just talking and sharing for 2 hours, social conversation. That really surprised me. You know, in the other ways of broadcasting, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and everyone's exhausted. But with social streaming, everyone comes in, they get interacted, they're hyper, other people come in, the new topics go on. There are some blabs that I followed that have gone on for 6 hours. Can you believe that? And you say, well, it can't be worthwhile. And yeah, frankly, sometimes in that period of time, it was not very valuable. But I think if you're a good moderator, as Gene and I are trying to do, our format is try to have 15 minutes of content between Gina and I, and then open up the seats and get a guest in so that we can have the interactivity going on with the guest for about 5 minutes at a time. And since you can have 2 extra spots, bring another guest in and then rotate them out. So try to keep people in the seat for only about 5 minutes and then moderate it and then come back in as the host and co-host to make sure that everyone's understanding what's being talked about. And then, you know, you can close it out at the 45-minute mark or the hour mark. And we're getting pretty good now at getting it close to the hour. And then it's stored, it's replayed, it's available. I can then put it on my website, my blog. I can put it on my YouTube channel. The audio file is there. It also gives me the audio side for podcasts, so I can put it on my iTunes channel as well. And so that just blew me away. So I've got the video channel on YouTube, and we all know YouTube is the second largest search engine, both owned by Google, right? You get the Google search engine and the YouTube search engine. So if anyone wants to talk about my topic of the day, you know, they can search for me on YouTube, and I can take the audio track, put it on iTunes, and all the people who want to do the podcasting, you know, on the bus, in the subway, on their bike, on their exercise at the gym, they can listen to the content, and all the audio is archived so they can listen to the components they want. So you get a social streaming capability that gives you multiple ways of distributing it to different kinds of audience, because some people, as I said, like to read, some like to listen, some like to watch. So you're getting to talk to each of them in a particular way. You get to archive it and create an asset that you can repurpose any way that you want. If you're smart, you can have a call to action in it, and you're able to actually you know, sell products or services or training programs or PDFs or other kinds of training programs that you you know, want to have. So you don't have the technology issues and fears. You don't have the cost issues. You don't have the geek issues, the overwhelm issues. You get so many things cleared up, and that's why it's rapidly growing. It has some very interesting capability. If we get some creative people in the cancer community all now experimenting with this and seeing where it goes. So I'm hoping to be the hub of this new wheel that we're creating, and, you know, show people what to do, how to do it, answer the technical question, because I'm a geek. I love that other stuff. I can tell you about microphones and cameras and lighting if you want to go that route. But it's not required. And I'll be the show producer if you really need the help and you just want to learn how to do it, or have a co-host to get you started. Another question, can I use headphones plugged in to my phone with this app? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can, you know, if you can use just your earbuds like I have in, I just use my earbuds when I'm broadcasting. And, you know, depending on your technology, I blab for my laptop because I get a bigger screen and I can see the comment trail and see it a lot easier than, you know, trying to do it on, you know, the little real estate of my smartphone. And then some of the apps, you know, you have to be iOS, Mac-based or Android-based. I'm a BlackBerry, and the apps don't work there, so I have to use my iPad or get an iPhone or get an Android smartphone if I want to use my smartphone. So I use them interconnectedly. I'll use this if I'm mobile, or I'll use my laptop. I'll move it to any way I want, but just use the earbud. And the reason for that is because you've got a live microphone. If you're using the microphone in your laptop or you're using it on your smartphone, the sound that comes through it gets picked up by the microphone, or from the speakers get picked up by the microphone. You get an echo. So having an earbud means that the sound that you're hearing can't be picked up by the microphone, and so you don't get the echo. And that's the only technical thing you've got to remember. Don't wear these big, ugly headsets. I mean, some people like that, the boom mics and that kind of thing. But I find an earbud that everyone's got and a smartphone gets you started, and then you can move on to the desktops and do these other kinds of things. So there's a couple of questions. I mean, this is great. Any other final questions? Can tell people say, calm it down, Dave, you get too excited about this. But I do. It's been 2002 I started playing with this, and I couldn't see the application. And now as a cancer survivor, I see so many places we could do it. Fundraising, unbelievable. Live broadcasting, your fundraising events, using Patreon as a donation page to collect funds from people. I mean, the creativity that you can do now with social streaming to generate revenue for your cause, talking to your audience, bringing people together, live streaming your events. You don't have to just have people face to face. Yes, that's great. I mean, we're never going to get rid of that. And there's a good reason to touch and feel. I mean, I love to hug and get close, but you can't. But you can get a virtual hug. I give you a virtual hug. I can give you a fist bump. I can give you a high five. I mean, I'm trying to connect with you. And if I'm doing a live event and behind me is whatever the event is, I can broadcast it out to the world and use that for my fundraising capability. If I'm doing training and I want to share that out, most in cancer care, the cancer clinics and wellness centers that I'm connected to, they like everyone sitting around on the easy chair in the physical environment to talk about the issues in a private, contained environment. But that doesn't mean you can't have a webcam alive and then people who can't drive. I mean, when I was going through chemo, I was invited for these sessions and I couldn't get there. And so I needed the support, and I couldn't connect with the support. Yet if they had a webcam and these tools, I could have been connected to the group and feel better and get the hope. Yeah, as those who follow me, my phrase for hope is having only positive expectations, hope. And I needed hope. I was in a desperate shape at times, and I needed these support communities, but because they were in the easy chair by the fireplace, I couldn't be there. These tools today wouldn't allow me to connect. And that's why I'm riding the evangelical horse here, saying hospitals, clinics, let's get those people that are bedridden, not feeling well, can't travel to participate and be as part of the support groups using live streaming. Now, yes, you have to be in the US, those of you that are watching, it has to be HIPAA compliant. We have issues, and we all care about privacy issues. And so, there are some message constraints that you're going to put around, and that will help you select which tools give me privacy and which don't. But again, you can have topics that still allow you to connect. We had some people who were survivors, disability, not feeling all that well last week on our public show. And we gave them inspiration. We gave them motivation. The group all came together and gave them a group hug. And it's an open broadcast. It wasn't private. So, as a host, if you maintain, this understanding of what's private and the people that you allow on camera follow the same rules of conduct, you'd be amazed at the outreach that you can have with people who are going through, a pretty arduous adventure. I call it an adventure, an odyssey. I don't like the word fight. It's what if you lose the fight, what does that mean? We work so hard at surviving through all of this. I like the odyssey, the adventure, the journey aspect, but that's my personal metaphor. But anyways, I think you can do more to reach out than you would imagine once you start to play with it. And that's why I'm excited that we've got at least one member of our audience is going to go and try that. And so it's going to be really great to do. So as you can tell, I blab on. So is there any other final questions before I close it off? It's such a passionate thing. And I think we're going to spend many other coach hangout sessions talking about this topic. I think I'm going to use my Wednesday sessions to talk to the survivors and caregivers and patient audience. But this group, my Cancer Coach Network, and by the way, those of you that don't know, we have a Cancer Coach directory that if you go to findyournewnormal.com/coach directory, you can post your services, where you are, what you do, a place to put your video so people can see you. No cost, no obligation. I'm trying to be a matchmaker. I'm trying to pay it forward to help those who have helped me. There were so many angels that came into my life, and I'm trying to be a matchmaker, bringing the right resources, the right information, the right expertise, the right practitioners into the survivor, patient, and caregiver arena. And caregivers, by the way, is an area that very rarely is touched upon. It's another hobby horse I want to ride. I've been dealing with the patients and caregivers, or survivor side, patient and survivor side, but I think caregivers, my experience with my caregivers and other patients I'm working with and talking to their caregivers, go through as much the issues, emotional issues, recovery issues that the patient has gone through. And so they need a channel of information. And that's why I say we could have the social streaming to caregivers. My primary caregiver, because I've got some more scans and I've got some more complications and I've got to go in for some more surgery. My caregiver just texted me just before we came on air, and I could sense the anxiety with them because they sense that there could be another bout of issues for me, and that's creating anxiety and worry for them. It'd be so great for them to be involved in a caregiver network. With live social streaming, to connect with other people and talk about what they're feeling and what they're dealing with. They shouldn't be left out of this picture. So I think coaches and practitioners of various kinds can come in and bring their message out to a lot of different audiences with these tools that are here. So there you go. I don't see any more questions coming in. So I do want to thank you for coming. I think it was a great session for me because I'm talking about something I really think is valuable and really want people to understand the power of. So please share the word that we do have these Cancer Coach Hangouts every month. You just go to Cancer Coach Hangout or cancercoachnetwork.com/hangout and register for our monthly sessions. We'll have another one in February. And definitely go to findyournewnormal.com, put your service and products and service listing into our directory so people can find you. And then come to our Wednesday session at findyournewnormal.com/blab. And as my final statement again, if you need help, don't hesitate to talk to me. It's something I just love to see other people use. And if you need help, glad to be there for you. And if you just want to produce it or look after it all, I'll do that too. Just let's make it happen. I think we can offer something of value to an audience that really needs what we've got to say. So let's get together and do something about it. So there you go, my friends. Thanks for coming in. I'll just stop the broadcast and I'll stay in case there are any final questions. The text chat is still live, so I can respond to text chat. You won't be able to respond with video or audio, but we can continue the chat. But let me just say thanks very much and see you either on Wednesday next week at 3 o'clock Eastern, or I'll see you in February at our February Coach Network Hangout. Talk to you all. Take care. Get out there and spread your good word. Bye for now.